Yo, what's good folks? It's KnightmareFrame here with a new Warframe video, coming at you with a Beast Mode Baruuk build. This monk has gone wild, making him into the melee Warframe he was meant to be. Isn't it funny how his hype died out so fast? 2 months after his release, everyone stopped talking about Baruuk. Damn, it's cause they made his Desert Wind a meh ability, and his first ability felt out of place from the others. I think DE was like, yo guy, we made some frames with overpowered exalted weapons, How about we tune it down a bit? Oh yeah, totally. So Baruuk was released, and yeah, I mean, think about it. The 2 most powerful exalted weapons in the game are Peacemaker and Exalted Blade. After that, you got Dex Pixia and Artemis Bow. Moving down, it's Valkyr's Hysteria and Wukong's Iron Staff. And dead last, you got Baruuk and Hildren. Don't think we forgot about you, girl. So in this build, I found a way to make Baruuk an insane powerhouse, the pacifist monk he was not meant to be. Meaning, we forget his first ability ever existed. I'm basically using his second and third to erode his restraint meter. For those who don't get it, Baruuk don't like to fight. So when enemies engage him, his first 3 abilities are there for him to avoid getting hit, to CC and disarm enemies, and also give him damage reduction. So his restraint meter starts to erode. It's the little circle gauge you see on the bottom right of your screen. So once this meter is at a certain point of erosion, you can unleash your ass whooping on the bad dudes.
You think you're so tough, but I know the martial art.
Listen, calm down. His second ability, Lull, allows you to slow down enemies and put them to sleep. It scales off of range and duration. Think of it as Nova's Molecular Prime, but a lot worse. So, enemies affected by his lull erodes 0.81% of the meter, and his first 3 abilities have a different percentage of erosion. And his third ability is what makes Baruuk tanky. Y'all are like, yo, you see his base stats right here? Yeah, right here? How does dude a tank? Here's the deal, this ability scales off of power and range. When casted, Baruuk will have daggers orbiting him. Each dagger gives Baruuk 10% damage reduction, so stacking a lot of daggers gives you way more damage reduction, which caps at 90%. On top of that, each dagger will seek out and disarm enemies depending on your range, so more power equals more daggers. Now you see the tankiness? And Desolate Hands erodes 1.6% every time it disarms an enemy. Cool, but that's not it. We'll take a look at Baruuk's 4th ability, Serene Storm, where he wields his mighty fists called Desert Wind. This is the first exalted weapon in the game that does not use energy. Remember that restraint meter I spoke about earlier? Well, that little thing is what powers the weapon. While the first 3 abilities erode the restraint meter, Serene Storm regenerates it. Serene Storm scales off of melee mods and power strength. Another great thing about this ability is that it grants damage reduction, that caps at 40%. The downside is the damage type is purely impact, which is horrible for a melee, and it does some weird ragdolling which can be quite irritating. This ability is an okay ability, it can kill anything on the star chart, but what if you want to take Baruuk into tougher missions? That's when Desert Wind starts to fall off in terms of damage, but there is a way we can change that. Okay, without all the chit chat, let's take a look at the build. Since this is a melee focused build, I am running Steel Charge in the aura to increase my overall melee damage. And in the Exilus, I have the best mod for any melee build, Handspring, that grants 160% knockdown recovery. Alright, here we go. This is a heavy power strength build. I have Blind Rage, Transient Fortitude, and 2 Umbral mods, giving me 309% power strength. Now this gives my Desolate Hands, his third ability, 24 daggers orbiting Baruuk. And I have Fleeting Expertise to give me that juicy efficiency since Blind Rage is in the mix. The duration is the only thing that suffers in this build. We do not care about duration since we're only using his lull to erode our restraint meter and temporarily CC an annoying group of enemies. Adaptation for added defenses that gives 90% damage resistance towards status effects. Rage for that 40% chance to replenish energy when you take health damage. It's needed to help cast your abilities with ease. If you do want to replace this, you can add Streamline, but you'll have a total of 135% efficiency. It still won't help, so Rage is perfect in this situation. And lastly, I got Quick Thinking. With that 90% damage reduction and Quick Thinking, Baruuk is one tough cookie to kill. This mod helps him avoid a lethal hit and drains energy instead of letting you die. The drain is reduced with armor and damage reduction, and the arcanes are there for that little extra spice to push this build to the next level. Arcane's Grace and Guardian for the extra healing and 600 additional armor. And moving on to our Desert Wind, built for crit and condition overload. The weapon has horrible status chance, but putting Zakti into the mix, it will allow us to strip some armor and spread status effects to boost the damage of condition overload, and thus increasing the damage of Desert Wind. I have primed Fever Strike and Shocking Touch to give Corrosive and North Wind for added cold damage. Even though Desert Wind scales off of combo multipliers, it does not stack a combo counter unless you attack them at full-on melee point-blank range. Think of it like Excalibur's Exalted Blade. It has some range and it can attack through walls. If you want, you can replace primed Fever Strike with a regular one if you want to use Sacrificial Steel to give you that 94% crit chance. And lastly, my Zakti, the best status spreading monster in the game. In this build, I have Corrosive and Blast alongside Zakti's innate Gas. And Blast, even though it's not the best in terms of damage, it does count as 2 status effects, so Condition Overload is already watering in the mouth. Alright, I hope with this build and setup, people don't forget the Baruuk is around, and he can kick major butt. And for the Baruuk fans out there, I suggest trying out the build, see if you like it. I'm sure you will. I do have another Baruuk build focused more on crowd control, and if you're more of a laid-back player, I would suggest trying that build out. But this has been my Baruuk Unleashed. I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.